broadcast from the center of the universe. Featuring optometrist turned entrepreneur Dr. Robert Zellner and US SBA Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark.
Because eventually it all comes down to you're fired, get out of here.
You know, it's okay for you to encourage them to move on if you don't like them, because they probably don't like you either.
Yeah.
There's probably a job out there they will like.
Welcome into the Thrivetime Show. Josh Merrill here, excited to be with you. Today on the show, we've got Dr. Z. Hello, Dr. Z. Now, I have a question. Dr. Z, what are you a doctor of?
I'm a doctor of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
I'm actually an optometrist trapped in an entrepreneur's body.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Great to have you here today.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah.
Very kind of you.
We've also got America's #1 business coach. It's Clay Clark. Clay, today on the show on Thrivetime, what are we talking about?
We're talking about how to build these systems, these repeatable systems that are going to allow you to grow your business to the next level.
Wow.
And really, well, here's the deal, Z. I have kids. I have 5 kids.
Whew.
And at last count, how many kids did you have, Z?
3 that I'm aware of.
And during the course of your time building your empire and your businesses, anybody listening right now, you've had a kid that gets sick. My wife, unfortunately, we had some miscarriages. We had a time where we were stuck in the ICU with the twins. And when those times happen, and by the way, they're going to happen, your business will either fall apart or it will fall to the level of preparation.
Wow.
And so we're going to teach you how to build a system that if you have emergencies, because you're a human, that your business will not only survive, but it will thrive without you being there. That's the end game here. Can we build a system that's going to allow you to scale and to grow and to be super successful even when you're not there?
Let me ask you a question real quick to both of you, Dr. Z and Clay. Now, we all know that we need systems, but how long did it take you, Dr. Z, to realize that you needed a system in your business? How long did you hit your head against the wall before you said, let's get some systems?
Well, when I started hiring people, it became more than me.
Yeah.
You know, when I went to employee about 3 or 4, I was like, okay, I don't want to tell you what to do every minute of every day. Yeah. So we're going to get some systems.
That becomes a job in it of itself.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Same question you, Clay.
Well, okay, what happened is I just want to make sure people understand this.
Yeah.
If you are listening right now and you have worked at a carnival, you would be considered a carny, okay?
Yes.
One step above a DJ, it's kind of debatable, but some people believe one step above a DJ is a carny.
Yeah.
I did not get qualified. I did not get accepted as a carny, so I started out as a disc jockey.
Nice.
And people who are like 47, and no offense to the 400 DJs listening out there, but if you're 47 and you're 52 and you're 65 and you want to be a DJ and you love the idea of that being your world, you're kind of like trapped between an artist, like a starving artist, and like a kind of an entrepreneur. And I had to manage these people. And so the things that people would do, the crimes against humanity that were committed on a nightly basis, I had to start setting up some guardrails to protect myself legally from not screwing up people's weddings.
CYA, baby.
We're going to talk about this later on, but I completely ruined someone's wedding that was at the Moose Lodge because of not having some of these systems in place there.
Is this a time to apologize? Did you remember their names?
I had to write them a pretty massive check as part of the settlement. So we're now, we now have moved on. Emotionally, I have. Financially, we did not. But anyway, so I'm just saying is, if you're listening to this right now and you've ever secretly screwed up, you're going to need systems to protect your team and to protect your wallet. You need that. If you're somebody who's ambitious, you need systems. You have to have these systems, Josh.
All right. So today we're going to be talking about the 9 steps to build a business system. We ready to get into it? Dr. Z, you got something?
You know, I was going to say the reason why it's so important, and everybody out there listening, the good thing about this, you can come to the website and re-listen to this down the road because, you know, the studies show that almost 6 out of 10 people in the world or in the United States want to own their own business.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that many of them get ambitious and actually do it. There's all sorts of statistics that talk about how many people a year form an LLC. They go out and do it, but then our good friends at Forbes, and don't get mad at Mr. Forbes, don't get mad at him, but
don't be a hater.
This is the statistic. 8 out of 10 of these businesses will fail in the first 18 months of operation. So you get motivated, you save up, you take your entire life savings, and you're like, that's it. I am now going to start my bagel business. It's going to be awesome.
Awesome.
And then you go out of business. And so we're going to teach you how to save your financial future by having a little bit of planning and building these systems that will allow you to make money consistently.
You're listening to the Thrivetime Show on Talk Radio 1110.
All right, these are the 9 steps to build a business system. Number 1, you've got to specify and name the system.
Okay, when you specify and name the system, this is where you're no longer saying that, this. Years ago, you're no longer using pronouns or descriptive narratives every time you're explaining a system. And I'll give you an example. I went to a major oil and gas business years ago, and I asked if I could shadow one of the leaders, and he said, sure.
Yeah.
And I remember he lost his mind in a board meeting because somebody kept speaking in pronouns. It was awesome. And I remember like secretly making note, like, don't do that. What happened is in my office, I would always say, do you have those sheets, those lead sheets? And the guys would go, yeah, I've got the lead sheets. And I had this thing called the arm. And Z, it was called the arm, but it was the left pocket from a folder that had broken off like 6 years before. And I kept all the lead sheets in this thing called the arm. And so I was always like, do you guys have the arm? Do you have the lead sheets? And I realized that nobody knew what the arm was, or no one knew what the sheets were because it wasn't documented. And so I kept referring to, well, go get that, go get these, do this, do that. Play a slow song that the crowd will enjoy. And I'm just screwing up weddings left and right. And I had to learn that you have to get rid of those pronouns and start to be more formalized. And so I came up with this thing called the DJ Party Starters. I had to name the system. And I said, DJ Party Starters, round 1 is whenever you're at a party and you don't know what to play, and the soccer moms are starting to kind of look around kind of confused, and then their husbands are like, we're going to go to the bar. You pull out this sweet Sanctimonious CD and that cha-cha slide, that electric slide. They're all right there for you. Instant party starter. Boom. But I had to name it. And for the longest time I said, just grab some songs that, you know, common sense, that get the crowd moving. And it's not common sense, and most people didn't know what I knew. So that you want to name it. Z? Ooh, yes, little Prince here.
You got to name it.
You got to name it. And Prince actually, when he got rid of his name for a while, it got confusing. He unsystemized. He went into a symbol.
The other thing I want to do is too, you know, when I started hiring employees, it was kind of easy because I knew what to do. I knew what forms to fill out. I knew what I needed to do. I was the boss, and so I did that. But then when I had somebody else hire someone, then I thought, oh gosh, now I can sit here and tell you every single time what to do. Or I can say, here's a form, and the form is titled what to do when we hire someone.
It's been far enough, because you've been in business with the optometry clinic now for 20 some odd years, right? 25? Is it 25 years?
25 years.
25 years. So that's a huge deal. It's a huge accomplishment, okay? By the way, you didn't succumb to the Forbes stat of 8 out of 10 businesses that don't make it.
Congratulations.
What would that make me? I'm part of the
20%? Technically, you're a big shooter is what that makes you.
Oh, is that what Forbes says? Big shooter. Yeah.
So here's the deal. So with your business, we're going back old school. What was the first horrible crime against humanity where you said, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that happened. This has to be a system. What was the thing? Can you remember where you said, oh man, that can't happen again? I mean, did you ever set somebody up with the wrong prescription and they went home and,
No. What happened was I had a new contact lens technician. I taught them how to teach people how to put a piece of plastic in their eye, i.e. a contact lens. Oh, this is bad. If she's listening out there, I'm still so very sorry.
Oh, Billy.
Yeah. Oh. Anyway, my technician was trying to show her, and she did not follow the instructions I gave her. Next thing I know, her finger is jammed in this customer's eye, and it's a kind of a swirling cat fight of
it's stuck in the eye
mess. Her finger didn't stick in the eye, but she was trying to put the contact in, and she didn't use the right technique, and she hurt the lady's cornea. It all healed. She's fine. There was no lytic.
Okay, now I have a confessional I want to share, because mine's not. I didn't mess with someone's cornea. I messed with their memories of their wedding.
Yeah.
I talked to this bride, and I said,
which will never heal like a cornea, by the way.
I said to the bride, mine is worse. I said to the bride, so your wedding is at the Sheraton? And she goes, absolutely, at the Sheraton. I said, the Sheraton. You guys remember the Sheraton at 41st in Garnett back when that was a thing?
Yeah.
I think it's something different now, but I said the Sheraton. Now, I'm an idiot. I don't travel. I hadn't left Tulsa. I'm 21. I'm happy to book weddings. So I said, well, great, we'll be at the Sheraton. 5 o'clock setup, 7 o'clock start. Absolutely, the Sheraton. The Sheraton. Great, the Sheraton. So she calls, hey, and this is like when the cell phones were precious minutes. If you got a call, precious minutes.
Precious.
Yeah. And so I answer the phone. I'm like, DJ Connection, this is Clay, all confident. And she goes, you are supposed to be here right now at this place. And I'm like, I am. She goes, no, the Sheraton. And I'm like, I am at the Sheraton. Now remember, there's downtown back in the day. There was the Adams Mark. And so then I'm like, oh, where are you? And she goes, downtown. So I get in my car and I drive as fast as I can. I've already set up the system. I take it down. I drive as fast as I can to the Sheraton. I am now at the Sheraton. She calls me again. Where are you? I said, I'm downtown. She goes, at the Sheraton. I go, I know. She goes, in Oklahoma City.
Oh,
my gosh. Just, there's not enough sound effects to shelter me from the feeling of just being an awful.
Wow.
You know what that makes me want to say to you? Come on, man.
So I'm just telling you, what I ended up doing is I'm in my car and my wife, she's like, babe, how's the weddings going today? Because she'd always call in and check in. And I'm like, oh, we're doing great here. There's no problems here. Situation normal. Situation normal. All's good here. Headed on.
We're in the green zone. Green zone.
Headed to Oklahoma City.
DEFCON 1. We're good.
I get to Oklahoma City and you set up a system and you're sweaty. I've already set up now twice. I get to Oklahoma City. I'm breaking every possible speed limit. When you show up at a wedding when there's 300 to 400 guests, and they're looking at you, it's probably 200, but it felt like 1,000. It's probably 200 people.
Oh yeah.
And they're all looking at you, Sweaty McSweaterson, and you're just, there is not a way to describe how that feels, but I'll tell you what, my immediate thought was, I've got to make a system or I'm going to jail.
Yeah, well, or have a lot of speeding tickets.
Absolutely.
Wow. Ruining a wedding. That's awesome. More stories like that when we come back. We're going to be talking about step number 2 of the 9 steps to build a business system on the Thrivetime Show here on Talk Radio 1170. Any last apologies for that couple?
I only laugh because otherwise I would cry. I'm just saying, if you've ever made a mistake, you need a system, and you need a system.
Boom. Listen up to find out how.
We are back.
This show is brought to you by Adobe Creative Cloud. If you're a photographer, graphic designer, video editor, podcaster, business owner, or just creative genius, this is for you. All of your creative tools, all in one place. Creative Cloud includes the entire collection of creative apps for desktop, from favorites like Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator to new tools like Adobe Experience Design. Check this out. You can create podcasts seamlessly and high quality with Adobe Audition. Did you miss the exposure or looking to create a stunning and beautiful photo? You gotta download Lightroom, okay? The latest release of Adobe Creative Cloud is here with incredible new features in Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, and all of your favorite apps, plus millions of Adobe stock assets and new premium images are built right in. So you can turn your brightest ideas into your best work fast. Make sure that you check out Adobe Creative Cloud. It's at adobe.com. Once again, Adobe Creative Cloud at adobe.com.
Welcome back to the Thrivetime Show here on Talk Radio 1170. Josh Merrill here with Dr. Z and Clay Clark. We're talking about the 9 steps to build a business system. Tell us recap real quick about systems in business, Clay.
Well, Michael Gerber, he's the best-selling author of the E-Myth book series. I would say that if you're listening to this and you own a business, there's probably 10% of you who've read this book. But he has this quote that just haunted me for a long, long time. Haunted, meaning like I read it and I said, oh no, this is not. So here it is. That was unbelievable. Unbelievable placement of that sound is unbelievable. So here's the quote. He says, most entrepreneurs are merely technicians with an entrepreneurial seizure. Most entrepreneurs fail because you're working in your business rather than on your business.
Yes.
And so what I find is you're working to the point of almost exhaustion when you're trying to get your business to be viable, to be profitable, to be solvent. And when you get to that point, you're like, I just want to get something to eat. And then you go to bed and you stay in that cycle for 10 years. And then you have an emergency, which everyone does, and now you're screwed. And so what we need to talk about is what are these little things we can do? What is the thing you can do? What's in a practical level, when you finish listening to today's training, what are you going to do on a daily basis that's going to allow you to get out of that failure loop if you're stuck there? Or if you have a business, what can make your system better? Or if you want to be an entrepreneur, what does that look like? And so we're going to get into this. So Z, I want to ask you, with diagramming the system, this is step number 2, diagram the system. When you're diagramming the system, you're out there seeing patients. You're open 7 days a week. You're the optometrist. How do you find the time to diagram the system? Because you were already working 6 to 7 days a week, probably 12-hour days. So you're probably working, at that point, 70 hours a week. How do you find the time? When do you find the time? How did you diagram your systems?
Well, that's what they make the evenings for. Now, see, you're a little bit different. You're like the early morning little lark. I'm more like the night owl. So my time was, after the kids got put to bed and dinner was done, then I would sit down and I would spend that time, instead of watching reruns of the Andy Griffith Show, which is a fine show. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's
very good entertainment.
A little Opie, yes. At that time, you have to do that for your business. It's kind of like, when did you find the time to see patients? Well, when they walked in, you saw them. I mean, you just took care of them. There was priorities, and writing and making systems and doing the steps that we're doing today is very important. Otherwise, you run around like a chicken with your head cut off.
I listened to... Oh, is there a chicken in the studio? Now, I listened to... I read a book back in the day by Ron Chernoff called Titan. It's written about John D. Rockefeller's rise to prominence in his building his empire. And I took something out of that book that was huge. And I encourage everyone listening to do this. I went to Walgreens, which he did not do, but he talked about how he had this little notebook. It was a little red notebook he put in his pocket. And whenever he saw a system flaw, he would walk up to the person and say, "What's your name?" And they would say their name. And he goes, "Okay, and what was the problem here? What caused this?" And they would say, no, they would tell the stories about what happened and the emotion. He's like, no, what caused it? And they would say, "Oh, well, we didn't have enough of this. We didn't have enough of these resources. We didn't have the right supplies. We ran out of steel. We didn't have whatever." And he would go, "Okay." And that was like the biggest limiting factor. He'd put it in the pocket, and then he would just run around all day looking for biggest limiting factors. And then in the mornings, he would get up, or for Z, he stayed up late, but he'd get up early, and he would then diagram out the system and say, "This right here, I can fix this thing tomorrow. That will never be a problem again." And one by one, he found those, fixes.
My move was Post-it notes. When I saw something wrong, I made a Post-it note. And my staff took great pride in the day that they could finish the day with 0 Post-it notes on their workflow. That was a big deal.
I want to ask you this, because you have gone from old school where you did Post-it notes, right? No, this is it. I mean, there's somebody listening to this. Most of the people who are listening to this right now, you're somewhere in that zone where you grew up with email, but you've also are aware of the pen and the paper. You've got a to-do list app you just bought. You got the Post-it notes, and you're trying to sort it all out. What would you say right now, Z, for the entrepreneur who is like, "Well, I email my staff and then they don't get it done, and I thought they did it because I sent it to them, and then I have an app, my to-do list app, and I've got..." What is the best way right now for someone right now? Do you still recommend the Post-it note, or would you recommend...
Absolutely. The little book like Rockefeller had is fantastic. And and I would double write it, and I would leave the Post-it note for them. They would have that as kind of their what I did wrong, what was wrong with the room setup, what was wrong with the patient setup, what was wrong with anything wrong that they should have not done. They got a Post-it note, and I made a list of those. And then, we had monthly office meetings, and we just hammered on repetitiveness. I'm trying to make sure that was not done ever again.
So I want to ask you this, Z, and Josh, there's a question for you coming in here in just a second. We're going to ask you some serious questions here, big questions.
Look out.
Trade-offs. I know there's someone listening right now who's saying, "Hey, man, you have no idea how many hours a week I'm working." I just want to ask you, how many hours a week were you working when you were building those first systems at your optometry clinic? Because now it's easy to look at you at the finish line where you've already built the success, you've already had the trophy, you've already had the awards, you've already been featured on all the publications. It's easy to now to say, "Oh, yeah, if I had the money and I had the time and I had the Porsche and I had the house and I had the kids and I had the wife and it'd be easy." But how many hours a week were you working, man?
Well, I would say on average per day, probably 12 hours would not be unheard of with, 8 to so many of that seeing patients, and then the others, working on the business and doing exactly what we're going to teach everybody to do today. Because if you want to own a business is one thing, but if you want to grow a business successfully, you need to follow these steps.
You're listening to the Thrivetime Show on Talk Radio 1170.
So, Josh, you're an aspiring videographer. You're a comedian. You have people all over the world, all over the country who ask you to make these videos for them that help them kind of promote their business and tell their story. And I know you take great pride in that.
Yes.
You also have, is it one baby?
I have one baby and one on the way.
Ooh, you know how that happens, right?
I've been told.
We have a doctor here who can explain
Dr. Z, tell me later.
Yeah.
He'll diagram it. So anyway, here's the thing is, where do you find the time to write? Because I know you have to write those sketches. You have to write the scripts. Where do you find the time to do it? Because I know you're already working 50 or 60 hours a week, editing, shooting. Where do you find the time?
Well, here's what happens is that the ideas, they come to me randomly through the day. I'll be thinking, I'll be driving, and I'm like, oh, I've got to write that down. So what I do is I grab my iPhone. I've got this app. It's called the Notes app.
You're using computers?
Can you believe it? And I speak it.
These millennials, what do they know?
I speak this idea into my phone.
You
and it goes
talk
into
to your phone?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Do you share a car? Do you and your buddy, do they share a car together?
No, I've got my own car.
Do you shop exclusively at a thrift shop?
No, no, not at all.
Is Uber how you meet people?
No,
How much time do you spend on Snapchat?
None.
Okay. Anyway,
Okay.
But
what's beautiful is I'll say this into my notes, right?
Yep.
And then through the iCloud, it's on my computer.
There he is mentioning more clouds. It's just
So many clouds.
do you work for the Matrix?
Sometimes. So
it goes up into the clouds.
It all goes up there. And then it comes down to my computer, and I can look at it and say, "Oh yeah, I remember that from today. I had this inspiration."
So you email yourself.
I guess you could dumb it down to that.
You put it on the app.
in the notes. When I write it in the notes, it also shows up on my computer at the same time.
Explain to the people listening what button you're hitting.
Yeah. Okay. So you have to set up your iCloud on your iPhone, right?
Okay.
And you click the notes. I want to share my notes with myself.
Yep.
And so my iCloud account is also set up on my computer. And in the notes, whenever I write a note on my phone, it'll write it on the computer. It's beautiful.
If you're somebody listening right now and you're going, "Hey man, I don't really know what you're talking about, but I appreciate the hustle." You can come out here to a Thrive 15 workshop. We have these workshops right here off the Riverwalk area in Jinx, and it literally is included in your monthly subscription if you choose to become a Thriver. So for $19 a month, you can come out to these technology. I mean, if you have the drive and the technology, we're going to teach you how to do all that, and it's included. There's no extra charge. You can get out to these things. So if you're stuck, don't be stuck because of technology. You do what Josh is talking about, whatever that is, or you got the Post-it note thing, which we know what that is.
Well, I tell you what, apps, I got 2 for $1 down at Applebee's the other day.
Unbelievable, man. That's hot,
Potato
man.
skins, and I think I did the shrimp cocktail.
What's your
Good
go-to, Clay, with
appetizer.
this? Notes and do you have a notepad? What do you do?
I send myself an email of anything that must be done.
Yeah.
And then every morning I get my inbox down to 0, and it all goes onto a to-do list, which is a Google to-do list, and then I don't delete anything until I've seen that it was done. The guy who started the Marriott Hotel, he preaches the Chinese proverb that says, "Don't hear, go see." So I have to visually and physically verify things are done before I take them off that list.
Right. Okay, we're talking about the 9 steps to build a business system here on Talk Radio 1170. It's the Thrivetime Show. Hey, when we come back, we're going to be talking about step number 3. We're going to be talking about how to write out each step and clearly state the objectives. You don't want to miss that with Dr. Z and Clay Clark, America's best business coach. We'll be right back on the Thrivetime Show, Talk Radio 1170.
For the professional-looking man out there, this is for you. Are you tired of waiting for hours in disorganized barbershops around town? Are you maybe looking for an upscale haircut experience instead of being treated like a little kid? If either of these thoughts crossed your mind, then Elephant in the Room Men's Grooming Lounge is for you. The Elephant in the Room Men's Grooming Lounge is proud to offer a variety of packages and memberships for discerning men and regular customers who wish to maintain their tailored look while receiving discounts off of services and products. They're going to bring you in, they'll offer you a beverage, identify your style that you're going for, get you a tailored haircut from one of the professional stylists, wash your hair, and then style it afterwards so you could even go back to work. The experience is awesome. They even do cool things for members like a free nape shave on Mondays or a peppermint oil scalp massage on Tuesday. Check out one of the locations near you and book an appointment. You can check them out at eitrlounge.com or just dial 918-877-2219. Seriously, you're going to love it. 918-877-2219 or visit eitrlounge.com to book an appointment today.
Welcome back to the Thrivetime Show here on Talk Radio 1170. I'm feeling so good right now. Dr. Z, doesn't this just make you feel just at home?
I feel like I want to eat a piece of apple pie right
Apple
now.
pie, 1950s.
I mean,
oh, it's beautiful. Hey, we're back into the Thrivetime Show here with Dr. Z and Clay Clark. We're talking about the 9 steps to build a business system. Number 1 was specify and name the system. Number 2 was diagram the system. Dr. Z, what's step number 3?
well, after you do that, you have to write benchmarks. In other words, you have to write out each step and clearly stated objectives. And Clay, I'm going to hand this one off to you. Why is this important? I mean,
You're always picking on me because you know I have these horrible stories about what not to do, but I had this landscaping company and it was called 4 Seasons, okay? And if you lived in Broken Arrow and you were a victim of this business, I apologize. But
So many victims in your business.
each business...
it's the apology tour.
You know, all these entrepreneur books, they always talk about fail forward, and every one of the businesses always ended up turning out well. But
Yeah.
I just want to talk about the problems because a lot of us are making these problems and we're like, oh, that's so funny. I actually do that myself. Anyway, you know, people are actually listening right now and you are doing these things. But what happened is we would go to someone's house, we'd knock on the door, or we'd put a door hanger and we'd say, here you go, Josh, I'm going to knock on your door.
I'll be here.
Boom, boom, boom. Hey, sir.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
I'm a landscaper. We're mowing lawns in the area.
Cool.
We'd like to mow your lawn for $1.
Oh, wow.
And if you're happy with the service, we'd like to, win your business and beat whoever you're currently using by 10%.
Okay.
So that was the pitch, right?
Yeah.
So I made a checklist, and in it, I falsely enumerated the order, so the guys would just start mowing your lawn.
Oh, my gosh.
No, it gets better.
No.
Oh, yeah.
So they're just showing up at people's lawns and not asking. And these are young, motivated men, and they're out there mowing. So I get a call from this lady named Sarah. And Sarah, if you're listening, thank you so much for saving my life. But Sarah's married to this guy named Dave, and she calls. He goes, Clay, because she knew our branding, because our branding was really solid. I used to really just focus on that. She goes, there is a group of young men mowing my lawn right now, and one of them is urinating in my backyard.
That wasn't on the list either.
No, and I go, and she says, I just want you to know, 1, I appreciate their ambition, but 2, they're definitely in the yard. 2, they didn't ask, and then she goes, and they're putting the door hangers in our mailbox. Like that's a federal. You can't touch someone's mailbox. You can't. So I now, the next morning, this is like, I thought through everything. I make my checklist, but I didn't think about the order. I didn't enumerate the order, which is what we're talking about here. We didn't write out each step in order. And so these young guys are opening mailboxes, and this one young guy, it's just like, God bless him, he's a great guy, but he just was stuffing it in people's mailboxes. So then I get calls from not only like the city police, I get calls from the postal service. I'm getting calls from people. And in one day, I'm not kidding, I probably had, not 20 complaints, but almost from like city, people, local people, and they're all looking.
People showed up with hats and badges and guns at their side, right?
So could you imagine what it'd be like, though? Z, you have a nice lawn. Could you imagine coming home and seeing a group of people who are mowing your lawn without your permission, not the way you want it, and they're just going to town, and then they're in your mailbox stuffing in.
And they come up to me, they tell me that now they're going to charge me $1 for that.
Yeah, and they're writing like these little invoice things and putting them in there. And so anyway, I discovered quickly, okay, The order needs to be fixed. And did it take the stress out of the situation? No. Now what I do is I always think about the order, and what I like to do is I like to make the system in order, and I like to role play the system out before launching. So I like to make the system, once I've enumerated the system, and when I'm talking about enumerating, I'm taking a whiteboard and drawing out each step, go to sleep, then get up the next day, have a nice, look at it with a fresh set of eyes and say, is this list going to cause the local members of their local government to call me with a complaint? Is this going to call? But I'm not kidding. I was like, we did some crazy stuff, and I had no guardrails for the guys. I didn't specify when they go on breaks and when they couldn't. In their defense, I booked them so tight there was no room to go to the restroom, and so guys were just out there hosing off people's lawns.
No.
Yeah, that's true. So that's all I have to say about that.
We're sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm surprised I'm still had to live there.
I cannot imagine how you stayed in business after this.
Well, what happened was, when you're a new business, you fail forward.
Yeah.
So if you look up YouTube, just look it up right now. If you're listening right now, look up YouTube. When you pull over, find a way to get on your Google, look it up. Look up YouTube lawsuits. How many lawsuits do they have going on right now? A lot. Look up Airbnb lawsuits. Look up any big company and type the word lawsuits. And I will tell you, any big disruptive company that's doing something is eventually going to make a mistake, but you can eliminate game-ending mistakes by taking the time to make these checklists and these systems. And eventually you have to get into this process where you define what you want, what you think is going to work, and you act. And then you have to measure the results, and you have to refine. It's a constant thing. Right. So, Z, have you ever done anything that was that nuts, or is that just, you feel like
That's pretty far out there.
Okay, so it's not going to get any worse than that.
I don't know that I could top that one. That one's pretty impressive. The cherry on top was the dude in the back, doing. Okay,
well, this brings us up to point number 4 here, Josh.
Yeah, point number 4, assign accountabilities.
So, Z, I want to ask you here, what kind of what does it look like when you assign accountabilities? What does that look like? What is that, a checklist? Is that a system? What does that look like?
Well, what you're doing there is, when you hire someone and you sit down with them, they clearly understand what you're paying them to do. And so when you say, why did the trash not get taken out last night? There was someone that was assigned to do that.
But I don't want to make cold calls. I don't want to.
But there's someone assigned to do that.
I don't want to make cold. But see, I don't do it with the bathroom cleaning. I have a phobia with cleaning the bathrooms.
Well, then you know what we'll do is we'll give you a raise so that you can now be a customer. We'll
kind of
promote you to customer status, and we'll say, see you later. But that's what you do. Like in my businesses, I have different areas that people work in, and in those areas we assign the accountabilities for each person in that area, so that things get done that way. And everybody knows who's doing what.
Kind of fired before you're hired, almost. Yeah,
it's kind of like if Tom Brady didn't know to say hut and hand the ball off, and so everybody was just like,
what are we going to do? We'll find out next when we come back on the Thrivetime Show on Talk Radio 1170.
Tom Brady, lobster.
Are you looking to start or grow a business? Then you are definitely going to have problems and questions along the way. You will find the answers to all of your business questions at Thrive15.com. Thrive15.com provides online video-based business training taught by millionaires and successful entrepreneurs for less than $1 per day. That's less than your daily coffee budget. It's no classrooms, no get-rich-quick seminars. These are trainings broken into 15-minute segments that get you the answers that you need. It's business school without the BS. I dare you to try a 7-day free trial. Simply go to Thrive15.com, and the first 100 people will also receive a free downloadable for how to optimize your website. So stop wasting your time and money. Go to Thrive15.com and get your business questions answered now.
Welcome back to the Thrivetime Show on Talk Radio 1170. Josh Merrill here with Dr. Z and Clay Clark. We're talking about the 9 steps to build a business system. Number 1, you got to specify and name the system. Number 2, diagram the system. Number 3, write out each step and clearly state the objectives. Number 4, assign accountabilities. That's the one we're currently on, Clay.
Okay, the accountabilities part it's a little bit uncomfortable. It's a little bit tough. It's what it is we're talking about trade-offs, okay? So if we trade comfort, we say I do not ever want to have an uncomfortable conversation with a teammate ever. If that's what we say, I never want to do it. Then what we do is we have crazy discomfort financially. So it's like if you say I do not ever want to hold my team accountable, then I'm not going to have a lot of money to count that is countable. You feel me?
Ooh,
you like that? Ooh,
nice little play on words there.
So what I want to ask you, Z, is have you ever had a time in your business where somebody didn't lock the door? Maybe somebody draws a line through the checklist. They didn't actually do the thing. It created a huge problem because of the lack of accountability of that person. I want to walk us through those kinds of situations, or a situation like that you might have had in the past.
Well, I'm going to go old school on you.
Old school, yeah.
My first job I had when I was 13, and I was working at a Mexican restaurant called Chiquita O'Brien's here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Is it still open?
No, it's not. But every now and then I go by the space and I just stop and
it's travesty.
I just look at it and I just remember things. Well, I want you to know I had a big promotion. I was a daytime dishwasher and I got promoted to busboy.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Hot.
And there was a checklist of things to do. There was a system. There was accountability. And one of the things that you always did when you bust the table is you check the seats and you wipe the seats.
Wipe the seats.
You had to do it.
You freaking wipe the seats.
It's part of the deal.
You must wipe the seats. Absolutely.
You have to. You have to. And I remember in horror, in just absolute shock, when our manager was seating this really sweet, nice little couple at this table, and he pulled out the chair for the young lady, as is good manners, Josh Merrill. Yes, and there, sitting in that chair, was a dirty diaper.
Oh, sick! You're sick.
And I was accountable for that.
Oh,
I don't think I've ever ran so fast in a restaurant to get that thing.
And that's
the look he gave me.
And that's the thing is, if you're listening to this and you want to be an entrepreneur, or you are an entrepreneur, what we're talking about is these are the daily mishaps that can really, really screw up your business, destroy your reputation. And now we live in this world where I hate it. I hate it. Oh, I hate some of the things and I love some of the things. I love the fact that I used to, back in the day, you wanted to, if I wanted to sign a contract with a customer, I had to mail them something. They mailed it back. It took forever. I love that now I just send an email. It's done. I love that. But also, if someone's mad, they just hop on that cell phone. They just hop on that cell phone and they just hit that little complaint button on that Yelp action or on that Google, and all of a sudden, 20 years of reputation in the toilet. So it's super, super important. If you're listening right now, ask yourself, what are you doing to hold your team accountable?
Yeah, and that's why I love football so much. A little shout out to our boys down in Norman, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got a game plan. They know what Baker Mayfield knows what he's accountable for, right?
Right.
Everybody, Samaji, knows what he's accountable for. And that's how a good team, and that's how your business should be. Everybody on your team, everybody in your business should know what they are being held accountable for.
You're listening to the Thrivetime Show on Talk Radio 1110.
And I love that you mentioned football, because it always allows me to get into my weekly, almost daily stories about the Patriots.
Oh no, I shouldn't have done it. So, I brought Brady up earlier, and I knew
Tom Brady's the best player ever.
Now.
He's unbelievable. Now, here's the deal about the Patriots, though. The other day, I'm looking on the Patriots.com, and I'm reading my little news. I'm always looking there. And Edelman, it looks like he might have been hurt. Julian Edelman. He looks like he might have been hurt. He tweaked his leg in some capacity. And you know what I did?
What'd you do?
I said, it's all right. Next up. I love Edelman. I love you. I'm not hating you. I'm just saying, Wes Welker, you're out, no big deal. Troy Brown was out, no big deal. The Patriots they know the accountability so well that in the Super Bowl, they had a wide receiver playing defensive back. No, it's normal for those guys. They have like a linebacker playing tight end. It's just every year.
It's freakish.
It is, but I'm just telling you, you are the Bill Belichick of small business, and this is what you do. I see you do it. You have a talented person in one of your companies, and you go, you know what? this person here no longer works here. They're moving. They got married. They got promoted. They started their own business. And you celebrate people that move on for the right reasons. I see you do it.
Yes, oh, absolutely.
And then you celebrate them, but also pragmatically, you have to fill the spot. And because you have such a detailed checklist and such a detailed system, you have like the Patriots where it's next up. And you just draft another person. You next up. And I see you do it all the time. So even though you're upset.
Does that mean I've got to cut all my sleeves off my hoodies?
That would be great. I would love that.
I need to do
Let's just say this year's your Christmas party. This year, I've got a special gift for you, and it's very Bill Belichick-y.
Well, we've said this before, with our company, Thrive15.com, that I am the Bill Belichick and you are my Tom Brady. So
absolutely, which is why my show prep, people say, "What kind of stuff do you guys do off air?" All I can say is you hear a lot of psst, and I'm just deflating ball after ball. And Z sent me to this little workshop that was available for the Thrive15.com where you watch videotape of the opposing coach. You can read their lips and you're able to read their plays. So there's a lot of things that we've had to do to get into this role.
We have done a little cyber spying.
I have a question for you, Clay.
Yeah.
You talked about having difficult conversations with your employees, talking about being accountable. Yeah. Here's my question. When you had a business like the DJ company, and maybe you had a DJ who he was able to do all the things, but maybe the talent level wasn't there.
Yeah.
As far as putting on a show, how do you have those kind of conversations?
Well, here's what happens is when you build a tighter and tighter system, I'll never forget, and Chet, if you're listening to this here, Chet Cadjo, this is the son of Chester Cadjo, the great company Quick Trip, and he's the head of this great company.
Yeah.
And Chet was so kind to invest a couple hours of his time to help me. He recommended a book called The Service Profit Chain, written by Harvard. Awesome. Chet, I know you're driving right now, buddy. I love you so much. You're awesome. But I'm reading that book, and it talks about how when you can hire character and train skill, you literally are just printing the bills at that point.
Yeah.
When you can hire character and train skill, I mean, you're now to a point where you have like a money press, baby. You talk about the Federal Reserve printing $19 trillion. You can't do that, but you can make bank. You can really do well when you can do that. And so if you have a very complex system, you can't.
Clay, I want to ask you, you're talking about business training. Where is a place online that we could go to find the world's best business training?
Well, what Z and I did a few years back is we started this thing called Thrive15.com. And we like to say it's the world's best business coaching platform. It's kind of like business school, but without the BS. It really gets into the marrow of what you need to start or grow a business. And what it includes for you, it's really a neat thing here. It includes thousands of training videos, proven templates, exclusive access to our in-person workshops, and the video version of a lot of the things you're hearing. And you can go on there and replay these radio shows. It's just awesome. And we have this thing called the Ask the Mentor button. You click that button, and literally we respond. So it's like having 24/7 access to a business coach. It's awesome. And it's just $19 a month. It's awesome.
I love it. And the in-person workshops are great.
I talked to an Australian last night. True story.
Yeah.
Oh, was he down under?
That was she, and I was trying to find Crocodile Dundee clips. I mean, seriously, Josh was like, is this where we're at, really? We're playing Crocodile Dundee clips. But no, seriously, she's a fitness trainer in Australia, and we were able to help her with her questions just last night. It happened. It happens all the time at Thrive15.com.
It was awesome. We answered her question, and I think that she's going to love it.
So, Clay, instead of charging someone thousands of dollars to coach them up, you're telling me you're going to do that for $19 a month?
And we're going to throw in a free high five from our main man, Josh Merrill.
Boom. We'll be right back on the Thrivetime Show on Talk Radio 1170.
Are you a business owner? You need to ask yourself right now, how are you backing up your files and important documents? Most businesses have no system for the files in their business. If this is you, you gotta use Dropbox. At least sign up for one of their 30-day free trials. Real talk, it's the secure file sharing and storage solution that employees and IT administrators trust. You get as much space as needed at no additional cost. You get unlimited file recovery and versioning, basically creating new versions, and valuable admin controls for secure sharing and collaboration with Dropbox for business. You got to check this out. After using Dropbox, you'll definitely feel more secure knowing that a virus or power surge can't ruin your computer and your entire business. Try full access to Dropbox Business for 30 days. Head over to Dropbox.com to get started. Again, Dropbox.com to get started.
Welcome back to the Thrivetime Show on Talk Radio 1170. Josh Merrill here with America's #1 business coach, Clay Clark.
Boom.
Also, we've got the doctor of entrepreneurship. It's Dr. Z.
Boom again.
So good to be here. On today's show, we're talking about the 9 steps to build a business system. Clay, do you want to recap these real quick?
I do want to recap
I would love
these.
to hear that.
Okay, so first off, you want to specify the desired results. Okay, you want to say, this is what I want to do. This is why we're doing this. Otherwise, you're just mindless navel gazing. The second is diagram the system. You want to diagram the system. Third is you want to write out each step and clearly state the objectives. Number 4, you want to assign those accountabilities. And now number 5, you want to determine the timing and the timeline. And I will tell you, I have never seen a more of a magical production of step-by-step, sequential. It's like entrepreneurial heaven. Every time that I get out there to Z's Auto Auction, and it's for dealers only. This isn't a shameless commercial, but literally, you will sell in a day hundreds of cars. What's the most number of cars you've ever sold in a day?
Well, we ran 1,400 was the most we've ever ran.
Whew. You're selling 1,400 cars in less than how many hours?
Oh, I think that was about 3 hours.
So 3 hours. So Josh, people at home, if you I know you, people are listening to this, maybe you have a cell phone, maybe somebody who's going, I don't have a cell phone. Well, maybe we need to talk to you at one of our workshops and help you get a cell phone. But that's 180 minutes. And so how many cars again, Z?
1,400.
So 1,400 cars divided by 180 minutes. That right there is 7.7 cars per minute. Ooh. That's a car every 7 seconds, basically. Okay, timeline, timing, I've seen it. They're all in order. They're all clean. How do you keep it all in order? How do you do it? How does it not just have one big, complete cluster of craziness?
Because every little step has its timing. Every person knows who's accountable. You know, we've gone through the first 4 steps, right? We've determined the systems. We've analyzed it. You know, we've made the steps out. We've said, okay, this is what you're in charge for. And that sale has to start on time. It's 1 day a week. You get 1 shot at it. And at noon, those cars have to be loaded up and running through there. And as you know, selling that many cars in that amount of time, you can't have a lane, as we would call it, go dry. In other words, there's no car there to sell. And I was like, well, where's the next car?
That's a car every 7 seconds.
Yes. So we're running 7 lanes, right? And so each one comes through there. So the coordination and the timing of it's very important. You know, and just getting the cars prepped, getting them checked in, getting them lined up in order.
Okay. You're blowing my mind. I'm wanting to cry here. So, okay, first off, prepping the car. What's involved with prepping a car?
Well, you have to have the car. You have to pick it up. Transportation has to get it delivered to the site. Then you have to get the car checked in properly.
You can't just draw a little picture on it.
You can't say, I think park out over there and let's run it here. And
put that over there, Z. Put that other car over there. Put the red car by the blue car.
No, the other pickup. No, yeah. So you check them in, and then you assign them an order and what lane. Very important.
Why does it have to be so specific, Z? Why can't I just put the red next to the blue and the yellow over there by the yellow car? Is that a yellow car? Why is that car
yellow and blue? And so then the timing of it is you got to get them cleaned, checked in. I mean, you get them checked in. You got to cleaned, parked properly in the right order, and then your team, because there's a team of drivers for each one of those lanes, they have to know the timing of them and working those cars through the lane. And then we have people in the lanes coaching them, bringing them in, having them stop, having them go out, and then the whole auctioneer team has their own timing of things. So it's a huge opera of selling cars.
A hip opera almost.
Ooh.
It's a hip opera.
Well, I want to ask you this real quick here. The way they park the cars, when I went out to Christmas Train, and Josh used to work at Church on the Move.
That's
right?
true, yes.
And at Church on the Move, it's a mega church. It's a mega church, but their people are still people there. It's a great church. It feels like a small church, but it's a big church. But the point is, you go to their Christmas train out there. Where's the Christmas train located?
Adair, Oklahoma at Dry Gulch, USA.
And you go out there and there's thousands and thousands of people that used to go out there for this thing called the Christmas train. I don't want to make up the number, but there was like maybe 25,000 people a year that went out to see
50,000.
I think it was more like 50.
Yeah, 50.
Like 50. I'm always trying to, bring down the glory of this great event, but it was awesome. It was awesome. But they parked the cars a certain way because if everyone was looking for a parking space, you couldn't.
Right.
So I talked to one of the guys who was helping organize it, and I said, "Hey, how'd you come over that parking spot? How'd you come over that move?" And he goes, "Oh, it's from Disney." And I guess at Disney, they park the cars at Disney World a certain way. You're not looking, each person isn't randomly driving around looking for parking spaces, because when you're having that many people, 1 million people a week visit Disney World, you can't have people randomly looking around for parking spaces.
Yeah.
So do you have a parking chart, like how you park? I mean, is that something?
Oh, yes. And this all goes with, if you tell people what to do, it's kind of like, hey, Billy, I need this car cleaned.
Okay.
But you don't tell them it needs to be cleaned by when. You don't need in other words, we've assigned accountability, we've assigned steps, we've assigned things to do, but you've got to put that time frame on there. I need this car cleaned by the end of the day. But wait, it's already 6 o'clock. Guess what? You're staying late.
You're listening to the Thrivetime Show on Talk Radio 1110.
So we're talking about the timing, the timeline. Clay, can I ask you this? How do you get this system set up? How do you determine what the timeline and the timing is?
Well, what you do is you focus, and this is one thing that Z, I've watched him do, and he's mentored me personally on this, and I've also watched him. I've watched his results, and I figure out how he does it. But Z's very good at declaring a result that has to happen, and then you begin to backfill and say, well, what if we're going to get it done in this timeline? What are the things that need to happen to get that done in this timeline? So you begin to start to think in sequential order. You begin to think about the resources you need, which really ties us into point number 6. You have to identify the necessary resources.
True.
And so we did this at Thrive15.com. I watched you do it. It's beautiful. So we make thousands of training videos. Now, here's kind of the fun thing, Thrivers. If you go to the Thrivetimeshow.com, so Thrivetimeshow.com, and you click the little button where you can ask us a question, or if you're a premium subscriber to Thrive15.com and it's $19 a month, you can click on the Ask the Mentor button. And when you ask us a question, we respond. Like we do it. And what happens is we make thousands of training videos. And so Z comes in here. Z, in your previous career, were you a videographer?
No.
So Z says, hey, we've got to get caught up on these videos. We're behind on the videos. And I'm going, we are behind on these videos. And he goes, we're behind. We've got to speed up. So he begins to identify, well, what would you need to do to go faster? And he's just asking, he's like the Socratic method, Socrates, he's asking, what would we need to do?
Hey, would it have been better if I had a robe and one of those little ringlets of ivy on my head or something?
And this is the thing, is so many people say, oh my gosh, I just bought this new franchise. I just bought this new business, but I don't know enough about automotive repair to run a successful business in this niche. So Z, you own one of the most successful, what would you call, like a horse breeding facility or a horse, what would you call that thing? What would you call it? Horse ranch? Would you call it a horse? Is it a horse gathering? Is it a horse fellowship? Is it a horse monastery? What would you call it?
I was looking for my horse. This is about the closest thing I have is little farm stuff. Yeah, it's called the Rock and Z Ranch. It's about halfway between Tulsa and Okmulgee on Highway 75, and we've had the good fortune of breeding some really nice racehorses down there. It's one of my passions, thoroughbreds. We breed and race and raise and feed and pet and.
But you really did know. You knew nothing about raising championship thoroughbred horses previous to opening it.
Well, right. I mean, previous to saying, I think I want to learn about that.
And you own a great company called A to Z Medical. What does that do?
Well, it's a DME company, which is a durable medical equipment company, and we do all kinds of things. But the majority is CPAP machines. And for those out there that have had trouble sleeping and with sleep apnea, you've probably been assigned a CPAP machine. And so that's one of the things, we fit those and deal with those. And did you become an expert did you decide to start that business because, one day your wife walks in and she says, Robert, can I grab you? Listen here, I'm studying the dark arts of the CPAP machines. I've read every book. I've gone to college for all these various degrees now. I know everything about the CPAP game. The last 10 years of my life have been amazing in this room. And if you would have interrupted me, I would have got my, or did you just hop in and with your entrepreneurial knowledge? I mean, do you have to know everything about every subject to get in there? Boy, I'm glad you don't, because By the way, I didn't sound quite like that. That was kind of.
What happens is when you don't make human contact for about a decade, that's how you start to sound. You get that beard, that Gandalf look.
Yes.
You start to talk like this, and you start to become an expert. Have you ever seen a really intense professor?
Oh Lord, my share.
Or hasn't left the campus in like 44 years.
Yeah.
He starts to talk like this. And hello, students. You'll notice in your syllabus, I wrote a book about the
syllabus.
CPAP.
Haven't heard that word in a while.
I sold several copies to my family. The CPAP. All the medical journals reference me. And anyway, the thing is, though, is it's so important that when you go into your business, that you do what you did. You said, we have to edit faster. We have thousands of people all over the world depending upon this. What do we need to do? And you told a young man, you said, get me a list of all the resources we need.
Yeah.
Just tell me what it is.
What do we need? And they said, well, if we just had, just one more computer, we could double our time and we could get those things. And I'm like, well, okay, let's put that on the list.
But it's hard when you're in it because you're in there working as fast as possible. You're trying to be resourceful. And what you don't realize right now, if you're an entrepreneur, listen to this. There's a website you can go to. It's called Kabbage. It's KABBAGE.com. KABBAGE.com. I know of one entrepreneur. He's a Thrive15.com subscriber. And he literally called me and said, I need like $10,000 of capital so that I can get this, which will allow us to double our capacity. It's a business in Santa Barbara, California. They wanted to double their capacity of some stuff, and they needed another countertop. Mm-hmm. They went on to Kabbage. They got a short-term loan. Boom. They doubled their capacity, doubled the sales, no more problems. So ask yourself right now, what resources do you need?
And that could go with like materials and staff and information. Workspace, goes on and on and on. Yeah.
I mean,
if we just had one more lawnmower, think what we could do.
If I had one more lawnmower, I would have made everyone in Broken Arrow irritated. So I am glad.
Just half the staff. Instead of half the people.
Oh my gosh. I have so many unfortunate stories about landscaping related stories about not having a properly documented workflow that will really, if you ever start to feel bad about your life, just listen to this training and you'll feel better in comparison. You're going to go, at least I didn't do that.
At least I didn't do that.
Boom. Hey, we're talking about the 9 steps to build a business system. When we come back after the break, we're going to be talking about step number 7. You got to quantify those results. What does that mean? Dr. Z and Clay Clark are going to tell you.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I want to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Right now, you're looking like an 11.
Wow.
You sound like a 12, but you're looking like an 11. And Z's a 13. I hate to do that to you, but he's a 13 right now.
Hey, I agree with you. It's the go ahead.
I don't have as much light over here on me.
That's true. It's the Thrivetime Show, Talk Radio 1170. We'll be right back.
This show's episode is brought to you by Moz.com. If you have ever considered the World Wide Web as a viable strategy for your business, you gotta check out this tool. Online marketing is complicated, but Moz software makes it easy. Companies like 99 Designs, Otterbox, and Aaron's, they all use Moz because it works. Explore organic search keywords for your business, research Bing and Google search results for your targeted keywords, and link up Moz Local and Google My Business. Seriously, this tool is crazy powerful with the clarity it brings to online marketing for your business. Even if you're just curious, start a 30-day trial with Moz.com today. It's a game changer for your business. Moz.com, MOZ.com.
Welcome back to the Thrivetime Show, Talk Radio 1170. The boys are back in town. It's Dr. Z, Clay Clark, Josh Merrill here with you. We're talking about the 9 steps to building a business system. Right now, we're on step number 7. You got to quantify those results, Dr. Z.
That's right. And speaking of the boys are back in town, holler out to Wichita, Kansas. The boys are back in town. Wichita! Thanks for listening up there, Wichita. Well, step 7 is very, 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 very important because now you've done a lot of hard work. You have... you've specified your result, named the system, you've diagrammed the system, you've written your benchmarks, i.e. clearly stated objectives, you've assigned accountability, and then you said, hey, and here's the timing. This has to happen now. This has to happen then. And then now you've identified your resources you need, right? So now you know, okay, I need an extra computer. I need this. I need another phone line. I remember back when that was a big deal for me. I needed more phone lines. So you add more phone lines. Why are we, now, when you've done all that, Clay, the next step is quantifying the results. I mean, how do you know you've done any of those steps successfully?
Okay, well, here's the deal. I used to work at a place called Faith Highway, which used to be called Impact Productions. And my boss's name was Larry McClarty. Larry, if you're listening, Larry was intense. I don't know if he had a military background, but he kind of ran the call center like it was a military operation.
Yeah.
And so he would yell encouraging things like, "You got to get on the phone. You've got to get on the phone." You know. And so my wife one day, I'm not kidding, my wife one day, she came by and she dropped by a Valentine's gift for me. She decorated my cubicle. She brought by balloons.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And so she walks in and he can see her. And he had thick glasses where it's like really thick glasses. And I remember him going, "Get off the floor. Get off the floor. You got to get on the phone." And I just think this guy's a tyrant, okay?
So wait, so your wife she was saying this to you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Hey, listen, crank that up a little bit. I don't know if we can get that a little louder there. We got to get the, oh, yeah, right there. If you're listening right now, oh, we're getting louder. Oh, listen to that. We're doing it right there. Oh, yeah. That's that manual upward movement there.
She wanted to be your lover is what you're saying.
And I'll tell you what, if Larry would have let her stick around longer, we probably would have had 6 kids instead of 5 kids. But here's the thing is, my wife comes in there and I'm excited to see her. And so I'm like, "Hey, babe." And he's just, I'm not exaggerating. He's literally standing up in a room of 16 people going, "Get on the phone. You get on the phone." But what happened was his boss was looking at a chart every day. And I had to make 100 outbound calls every day. And you had to have a lead, and it was always about 100. They called it double 100. But you had a lead list, and you had to have 100 leads in your book at any time that could close within any given window of time. So you had to have 100 leads, and you had to have 100 calls every day. And I used to think that was so barbaric and so terrible. And so my boss, I remember Jeremy, and Jeremy, if you're listening, Jeremy, you know what we went through. But Jeremy used to come up to me and go, "Now, Clay, now how many leads are in that book?" And I'm like, "Well, Jeremy, I'm just really like, I feel really good about these leads. I feel really good about the leads. I got some good ones in here." I used to kind of get really all sincere because it was a Christian business.
Oh, yeah.
And you're in the Bible Belt. So what I found is you could play that move a little bit.
Sure.
So I went to ORU, okay? So at ORU, what you could do, and this isn't what you should do, this is what you do. At ORU, if you're a shady shyster and you're trying to play the games, you use the word brother, followed by sincerity in a kind of a whispery voice, and you get away with anything for a few months.
Wow.
So I go,
Dirty.
That's the move.
Brother, I got to tell you, brother, I just want to know, do you want me to focus on quality leads, bro, or quantity? Because I care about these pastors. Each one of these churches I'm calling is not a number to me. They're a person. And some of these deals are very close to closing. And he would be like, "Clay, I tell you, you just get on the phone." And so as soon as I would sit down and get on the phone, I'm a kind of an artist. I'm a cartoonist. Yeah. So I would start drawing these very elaborate cartoons. And then Larry would get on the phone. And I would only get on the phone when I got yelled at. And I'm saying this whole story to say, Larry was focused on the quantity. He quantified everything. And so I got the talk. That means
you got the talk.
That's where my boss's boss pulls me into the side room. It was a glass room, and everyone can see me. And if someone came in that room, Z, do you have a place where you take people for the talk?
The woodshed, yes.
Okay, well,
they come to Jesus talk. Cow and the cabbage. I've got a couple different sayings. They're all. I haven't made anything up. I need to make up a cool saying for that.
Yeah.
Well, we need to put that down. We're gonna write that down. At 39th and Harvard, it's a big circular room, and they would pull me in, and you'd see everyone could see you because it's all glass room. And my boss would pull me aside. Shane was my boss, and Shane's a good guy, but Shane would go, "Clay, I got to tell you what, you've got to make those calls." And I would always just push back against the number. I always have a reason. And then finally, it's a commission-based job, so I had to give a little bit of a base. See, what starts to happen, I don't know if you've seen this, because you're a mentor for many young men. What starts to happen when a negligent young man can no longer provide for his wife financially to the point where they can't afford air conditioning and they begin to really struggle financially? As a general rule, what tends to happen to the young man about that point? Do they,
They spin off. I mean, it's bad. I mean, that's the thing about it is that, you hate to see people that are sinking into more debt. They're sinking into financial ruin. And ultimately, you saw a lot of those people end up in some form of bankruptcy, which is years to get out of that. I mean, it's
a fight or flight moment.
It's no fun.
And so I luckily reached out to a guy named Ron, and Ron, we still know Ron Hood. And Ron was our top sales guy. He was not my boss, but he was the top sales guy. So I said, "Ron, can you take me out to eat and show me the keys to the universe?"
You're listening to the Thrivetime Show on Talk Radio 1170.
How is it that you sell 8 times more than anyone else? And he goes, Clay, I'll meet you at Grady's, but you're paying. So I meet him at Grady's, which is now Twin Peaks, right across the river from Toys R Us. And I go over there, and he tells me, he goes, listen, you need to make 200 calls a day. And I'm like, 200? Yeah, 100. That's like the minimum, bro. Do you want to get wealthy? Are you? And he
you care about your family?
He used to do. He goes, Clay, I'm serious. Listen, I am not your boss, but I am not your babysitter. And if you do not quantify, he just was so frustrated he couldn't even speak. If you don't make those 200 calls, because he knew my wife. He's like, if you don't make those 200 calls, you're gonna be poor. That's just. And Ron's a Christian guy. He's like, Proverbs 10:4. God blesses the hand of the diligent. He punishes the slacker, and you are being punished. You need to start providing, or you're going to have to go home and tell your wife that you're poor because of you. And I'm like, oh, no. And I feel like I'd wet myself. I mean, I seriously was like, oh. So I got back to work. You know what? I started quantifying, and I started noticing that my numbers just worked because I was failing faster. To quote Thomas Watson, the guy who used to lead IBM. Yeah. He says, if you want to double your rate of success, you double your rate of failure. And that's really the importance of quantifying. And hopefully you don't have to go through the toilet of poverty to make that decision. But Z, at your optometry clinic, I mean, you manage the numbers pretty well too, don't you?
Well, you have to. Just like you said, you have to quantify those things that you're wanting people to do, and you have to have results that they can get their heads wrapped around and do. Just like you said, hey, minimum's 100. And Ron said, forget minimums, you know?
Yeah.
Clay, what is the action step that listeners out there can take with their business?
Every position in your company needs a number, period. So if you're the CFO, make payroll. You know, make sure money's where it needs to be. Your number is the number of times you bounce a check should be 0. The number of times there's financial crisis is a 0. That you need to make sure that you're getting your things done on time. If you're sales, you know, what number? How many calls do you need to make? How many contacts a day do you need? If you're in marketing, how many people need to see your online ads? We have awesome trainings on Thrive15.com about how to make online ads that get in front of your ideal and likely buyers. You know, how many impressions? How many people clicked the ad? How many people converted? Every position can be broken down into a numerical. You break it down into a number, a quantifiable result. You have to do that. You just have to do it, Josh.
You got to make it happen. Hey, we're going to move on to step number 8 here, which
Wait a second.
Whoa. Don't want to jump the gun.
Every position has a number.
Everyone.
Okay, what's Tom Brady's number?
Oh man!
You know, the thing is,
this is what it all gets back to football.
Let me tell you about Tom Brady. The only number I care about for Tom Brady is the number of Super Bowl rings. And so if you're listening right now, I just want to ask, he might have deflated a ball. He might
or two.
He might have been suspended. I've got my free Tom Brady shirt again. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I saw it. It
says free Tom Brady again. But you know, my main man, we're not that I'm counting, but we are counting Super Bowl rings, and he's just one away from getting into that coveted elite.
The number 5. If he gets that.
So that's his number is 5. If Tom were to call you up and say, "Hey, I know everybody on the team is supposed to have a number," your number to him would be 5.
Yeah, I'd say Tom, you got to get that 5.
Boom! Talking about Tom Brady here on the Thrivetime Show. As always, every show we do it.
But hang in there, folks, because we're coming back with the wrap up of the systems 8 and 9.
Yes,
and you don't want after all this work, you don't want to miss these 2.
These are the 2 that Tom Brady nails every football game. These are the ones that he gets. You're listening to the Thrivetime Show on Talk Radio 1170. Here with Josh Merrill, Clay Clark, and Dr. Z. And hopefully one day, our main man, Tom Brady. Hey, we'll be right back after the break. Stay with us.
Okay, managing your money has not been easier. Mint.com is the solution to ambiguous and blind money management. You can effortlessly create budgets that are easy to stick to, or even use one that they make for you. Design budgets that are appropriate for now and put you in position to succeed in the future. Get notifications for weird account charges and receive personalized tips for eliminating fees and saving more money. Check your credit with a free credit score and explore what you can do to improve it to be able to purchase the things that you really want later. Link up the app on your phone, and money management on the go has never been easier. You can even link up your portfolio accounts so you can see your bank accounts and stock values side by side. mint.com. You got to go check it out, and you can sign up for free. Again, that's mint.com, mint.com. Go sign up right now. It's definitely a game changer for money management.
Welcome back to the Thrivetime Show here on Talk Radio 1170. Here with Josh Merrill, Clay Clark, and Dr. Z.
Yo!
We're talking about the 9 steps to build a business system. Right now, we are on step number 8, Dr. Z.
You got to document the system.
Oh!
Ha! And what that means is once you've done all this work, now you got to document it. You got to, once the steps and metrics have been defined, you've got to document the entire system. And Clay, what are some ways? What am I talking about?
Well, okay, Atul Gawande. He is a author of a book called The Checklist Manifesto.
Great book.
And he is a professor at Harvard. And he says checklists seem able to defend anyone, even the experienced, against failure in many more tasks than we realized. And so what you want to do is take all this knowledge, as you said, and put it into a system that's like a guardrail. And the best example I could give you is that in my house, I have determined the guardrail that keeps me falling out of my house and walking around and determining that I'm no longer in my house is when I walk, and if I'm not stepping on, I have 5 kids. So if I'm not stepping on a sharp metallic toy, I now know I'm no longer in my house. It's kind of the guardrail, but I know I'm like, oh gosh. And it's like, I think they're taking pieces of glass and now they're taping them to things just to have fun with my feet. But it's like, okay. And then once I leave, once I get to the man cave, I realize, I'm no longer stepping on hard things that are puncturing my skin. But anyway, what you do is you're going to set up these guardrails so that your company is protected, and you're going to measure maybe 3 to 5 things, not 10 to 15, but 3 to 5 numbers you really want to watch.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into these 3 real quick, okay?
Boom, let's do it.
One is survey results.
Ooh, big.
I remember there's a lady named Jamie. Jamie, if you're listening and you used to coach cheerleading, Jamie, how you doing? And if you know Jamie, she used to teach at Union. Say what's up to her. Jamie, how you doing? So here's the deal. Jamie, she would coach cheerleading, and I hired her to be a mystery shopper. And I said, will you book me at the wedding show? Will you go and go to the trade show, go to the TulsaWeddingShow.com, go there, book a booth, go to the show, book an appointment, talk to the guys, pay a deposit, tell me how it goes. And man, I learned some horrible things. I mean, you know what I mean? So I learned some bad things. I learned that our calls, that we always specialize in answering the quick response time, that no one answered her call, no one returned the call, that no one emailed her a confirmation, all these canons and just these tenets of success that I principled myself on, I focused on, weren't being done. But the first is, again, you want to have a mystery shopper. Okay, mystery shopper, we're going to put them in the system. And 2 is you want to have a survey going on.
Sometimes I would mystery shop myself. Now, how do you do that? You call up your business and you use a fake voice.
Oh.
So you call and you do something kind of tricky where you kind of go, yeah, I'm calling about some frames.
Probably.
Trying to get some frames on sale.
Frames you have. No,
is this you? It's not me. Not me? No.
It would not be me. No, but you could actually do it to some degree. You can call your own people and you can alter your voice just a little bit, and then you hear it for yourself. Sometimes I have people tape, and sometimes you have to incentivize the people to mystery shop.
Right, right.
My brother, one of my brothers, God bless him, he's like Costanza on Seinfeld. He's just, and he wanted to find all the restaurants he could mystery shop because they'd always give a discount, a free meal to mystery shop. So he was a mystery shopping machine for restaurants.
A sellout. So one is you do have to have a mystery shopper get in there, but 2, you want to survey your customers. And if you're in front of a computer, when you get home, get in front of a computer, you can verify this. But the Harvard Business Review, there's an article they wrote called The Number. It's the only number you need to grow. The only number you need to grow. Type in Harvard, the only number you need to grow. And there you will find this article, this case study. What they found is the most important question you could possibly ask your customers is on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to refer our business to a friend or family member? This is called the Net promoter score. And if you do not have a score where the majority of people are ranking you or an 8 or 9 or above, you're not going to grow.
Right.
You've got to get that word of mouth. It's so expensive. It's actually 5 times more expensive to acquire a new customer than it is to wow an existing customer. So it's really, really important that you, 1, that you survey your customers, and 2, that you have that mystery shopper. Now, number 3, Josh, do you want to hear number 3 or you?
I've been waiting all day for number 3.
Number 3, and this is sort of a, I don't know, it's something that you need to be careful about. You need to make sure that you're obsessed with it, is you want to make sure that you look at your P&L.
Yes.
Because after a fun month, you're like, woo, yeah, we hit sales records. We dominated. We were at the peak. And then you look at the P&L and you're like, just get it away. Get it away. You negative person. Take it away.
P&L for everybody out there.
Well, P&L stands for profit and loss.
There you go.
And I will tell you, a lot of entrepreneurs, and I'm not ripping people who are listening to this who've chosen to walk on hot coals as part of your way to become an entrepreneur.
Ow, 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 ow.
But this is the deal. There's a big bias out there for people that are signing up for these entrepreneurial workshops where they go, if you're ready to unleash the fire of desire and you have what's required, all you need to do is you need to just step out in faith and understand that you can unleash your inner self into the marketplace. The market wants what you have because you are on the planet. And if you're on the planet, the world wants what you have because you're on. Do you understand the circular reasoning? I'm on the planet. Say it with me now. You're on the planet.
I'm on the planet.
You're on the planet.
I'm on the planet.
I want you to stand up right now and say, I'm on the planet.
I'm on the planet.
All right, now start that business. And for $12,000 up front, for a limited time, for the next 2 people, I will allow you to get that music back on. I will allow you to just real quick, just get that music back up.
Wait, but if I stand up, I can't talk on the mic, and if I talk on the mic, I can't stand up.
But wait, there's more. It's not 12,000. It normally is 12,000, but today I'm going to throw in these free knives, this free book, this free workshop, this saran wrap package, and it's only $8,000.
Oh,
and a picture of me with the guy from Seinfeld.
Ooh, even better. Hey, when we come back in the Thrivetime Show, we're going to be talking about step number 9 into building great business systems. You don't want to miss it, Clay.
And if you want a picture of me and you and the guy from Seinfeld, that's all included for a limited time for the next 3 people.
We'll be right back. Thrivetime Show.
Ain't no sound but the sound of speed. Machine guns ready to go.
Right now, how are you taking credit card payments for your business? It's never been faster or easier to begin taking credit card payments for your business than with Square. You know the little white square that plugs into your phone's headphone jack? It's awesome. This payment app is great for businesses such as food trucks, beauty salons, and retail shops. The users receive a small portable card reader that they can attach to a phone or other mobile device to take fast and convenient payments. The way it works is that it subtracts 2.75% of every time a card is run, and it does it automatically. So if you sell a sandwich for $20, you'll see a net gain of $19.45 in your bank account the next day. If you enter the card by hand, it costs 3.5% plus 15 cents on top of that. They encrypt everything so you know you're secure. They make it super clear to start and even offer bonuses for sharing with friends. So you can learn more at squareup.com. It's free to download and works on all devices and operating systems. So make sure that you go visit squareup.com.
Welcome back to the Thrivetime Show on Talk Radio 1170. Josh Merrill here with Dr. Z and Clay Clark. Today we've been talking about the 9 steps to build a business system. We're going to recap real quick. Number 1, you got to specify and name the system. Number 2, you got to diagram the system. Number 1, write out each step and clearly state the objectives. Number 4, assign accountabilities. Number 5, determine timing and timeline, the timing and timeline. Number 6, identify necessary resources. Number 7, quantify results. Number 8, document the system. And finally, last but not least, here we go. Number 9, test and revise.
Now, here's the deal about testing and revising is eventually you have to test what you think is going to work. And so my dad, if you're listening right now, Dad, my dad is unfortunately losing his battle with ALS. And I told my dad, I said, was one of his outrageous demands. I said, what do you need, Dad? What can I do for you? And he goes, well, I've got these Julio Franco jokes I've been working on for a while. And Julio Franco is a guy who played in Major League Baseball until he was like 48 years old. And so my dad,
we're not sure about that.
Well, he kind of allegedly was not accurate about the day he was born. So he could have been 50 while playing. He did play 25 years of professional baseball.
Wow.
And this is, so my dad has written down some Julio Franco jokes, and you don't know if they're going to go over well until you read them. So I'm going to
test them.
I'm going to give you two. I'm going to test them, and then I'm going to see it over to you here. So
we might have to revive them.
There are two Julio Franco jokes. Joke number one. This just in. Did you know that Julio Franco remembers the specific day and the time that BC ended and DC began? Did it go? Did it go over well?
BC and AD?
It didn't get over. Okay, let me do another one. If you have to explain it to someone, I'm going to do another one. Okay. Did you know that Julio Franco is so old that his rookie card was actually etched in stone? Woo! That worked for you? Okay, one more. Get one more. Do you know that Julio Franco is so old that he actually remembers when Julius Caesar himself threw out the first pitch to the game? Did that work for you, John? I'm trying
to find my cricket button, but I'll just have to do chickens.
Dad, I don't care what.
I don't have my cricket button. There we go. Thank you.
Josh has injured a part of his brain that no longer makes him allowed to laugh.
I thought he was a comedian.
He didn't even know who Julio Franco was. In all fairness, right?
No, he's got a great batting sense. I know who he is. Come on,
unbelievable. Anyway, I'm going to tee it over to you, Z. So, Z, how important is it to actually test it once we've written these awesome Julio Franco jokes?
Julio Franco jokes. I'm just telling you. I mean, this is something that's a challenge.
So let me ask you this. I mean, you've built these perfect systems. You're so excited. A guy like you're a doctor. I mean, you actually went to school. How long did you go to school? How long did you go to school?
8 short years.
So you went to school for 8 years, almost a decade. You go to school, and eventually you have to get off the campus and go out there and test your theories on marketing. Why is this so hard for so many people to get out there and finally test their system and begin to test and revise? Well,
the thing about it is that there's an old saying about trying to build a better mousetrap. And as an entrepreneur, that's what we're all trying to do. We're trying to build a better mousetrap because we all want to catch mice, right?
Absolutely.
We'll boil it down to that. We all want to catch. We want to catch them. You know, it has a value to catching these mice. And so, if you wait till you get the perfect mousetrap, if you wait until you say this mousetrap is perfect, it can get no better. If you wait until that point, guess what?
What happens?
Nothing. Because you never use the mousetrap. Because you're always working on it. So what I say to entrepreneurs is get out there, take a fresh pass, get your system done. Yeah, it's not going to be perfect day one, but that's why you're always testing it. You're always pushing the limit. You're always trying to do something better. Can we get a patient through more efficiently? Can we get the glasses made quicker? You know, can we get customer service numbers up higher? Can we answer the phones better? Can we make the systems better? Can we greet people better? Can we have more? The list goes on and on and on. The mousetrap can be made better. And if you wait, if you say to yourself, I'm not going to set this mousetrap out because it's not perfect, then that's not the game.
Right. What I see a lot is Henry Ford has this notable quotable that just popped into my cranium because I don't go outside and I just read books all the time. But Henry Ford, he says it's hard to build a reputation based on what you're going to do.
Right.
And I think it's so important that if you're listening right now, you begin to activate the knowledge. You've learned these 9 things. You're on this planet right now. You have one day. One day, that's today. One guaranteed day. That's it. That's all you have. And what are you going to do with the rest of today? I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to go out there and learn these things and become like the guys on Jeopardy and you're like, that's all you do is you go on Jeopardy and you know all this knowledge and you've read all the books? Or are you going to be a doer? Because it's hard to build a reputation. It's hard to make any compensation based on what you're going to do. You have to do it. And when you do it, you have to be okay that you're going to fail a little bit. Yeah. But you don't want to fail in an epic way. You want to have minimal failure as a result of using these systems. But it's so important. What encouragement, Z, would you have for somebody listening right now who says, I want to start my business. I did go to medical school. I want to do it. They want to do it. I don't know.
Well, the Gallup poll came out and said that about 1 out of 3 employees are really engaged at work.
Yeah, wow.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And about 2 out of 3 employees at work really want to go do their own business. So that's what it really boils down to, is that there's a lot of people out there that want to do it, but they're not doing it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be 2 out of 3 that want to do it. Does that make sense?
I think what it is that when I, as a former DJ, this totally makes sense and resonates to me, because I remember we all went to that school dance. Now, when I went to school, we didn't play this song, but this is a song that comes to my mind. It's the last song of the night. You've wanted to ask her out. You've wanted to. I mean, it's like, it's your parents pick you up at 10, and you can't let your parents see you because you were adopted or you were beamed as a ray of light. You don't have parents. You just showed up to that dance by your cool self, by yourself.
Wow.
Your dad gave you $5, maybe $10. You're at that dance party and you don't mingle with the girls. The girls don't mingle with the guys. But it's that last song, and that DJ says, "Ladies and gentlemen, up next is our last song." And all of a sudden, you
now
realize,
you just panicked.
and you're going, I have to ask her right now.
Now's the time.
Her name was it's kind of old school love. It was like the 80s kind of love. It was an Amanda. We don't have any Amandas anymore, but it was an Amanda. It was an Ashley. It was it was a Karen. There was no Karens now. Now it would be like her name was Karen. And you would walk up to her and you would do either two things. One, you would get up to her and you would just go, never mind. Or you would walk up to her and you'd say, your ride's here. And your friends would go, what happened? And you're like, I asked, but she shut me down.
Just shut me down.
Or you're going to be the man.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to walk up right now and you're going to say, hey, I've been watching you for a while. I've been digging your style. And I think this is a time for you and me. We could rendezvous on that dance floor in about 2 seconds right here. You and me, rendezvous in about 2. What do you say we do the slow dance thing? And that's what it's all about here. You're going to do it, or you're going to end up listening to Songbird by Kenny G by yourself in the basement.
Well,
You're listening to the Thrivetime Show on Talk Radio 1170.
but the ultimate move for the 2 out of 3 people out there, for the almost 60% of the population that says, I want to own my own business.
Want to do it.
Which I encourage, because business growth is small businesses in this country. I'll tell you what. Here's what you do. Here's the super move you do. You've got to find a business coach, a business mentor, someone that can help walk you through all the intricacies of doing that. I mean, it's complicated. There's a lot of steps to it.
Yeah, and it's always changing. You need someone who's done it before.
Now, you can find an expensive business coach like Clay Clark and spend thousands of dollars a month on this guy. Seriously, I mean, he's got a brain, huge, and all this knowledge. I mean, charges up to like $5,000 a month.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, isn't that right? Isn't that the move?
Well, okay, listen. If you're going to go out there and hire a graphic designer and a consultant and a guy who's done all this, people spend thousands and thousands
of dollars on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I do revenue share with people, and yes, I do make thousands. Unbelievable.
Yes. Or you can log into Thrive15. That's THRIVE15.com. And for a mere $19, you can have all this business knowledge, all the business coaches in your hip pocket.
Boom, Thrive15.com. It's the Thrivetime Show. I want to thank Clay Clark, Dr. Z, our producer, Marshall Morris. This is the Thrivetime Show on the Talk Radio 1170. We'll see you next time.
This is your day to boom. 3, 2, 1, boom.